Okay, guys, just gonna quickly go over some changes that we're gonna make to our press break. We're gonna go with kind of a more conventional press break than we've been working with in the past. A couple things to keep in mind. First of all, if you're the inbounder here, we want to make sure we don't kind of get ourselves caught along the backboard. And if it's after a score, just remember that you can also run the baseline, and so you have ability to move along the baseline when you pass that ball in. Now we can do some different things. We can just do the regular split like you see here in order to get open, okay? Or we can do some kind of screen away. In this case, most of the time, the way we're going to do it, if we end up doing a screen here, what we'll end up doing is we'll have our 2 screen over here, and then our 1 come off that screen and try and get open over here. At the same time, that 2 needs to seal once they screen there, and so they look for that other option here. And so we always have 2 options on that inbounds. We don't just have 1 option there. If we get really desperate at getting that ball in on time too, depending on what the defender here does, we can always cheat back and try and get that ball, but that's not the ideal scenario. Beyond that, when we're kind of trying to get that ball inbounds, generally we get the ball underneath the defender here, hopefully as close to foul line extended as we can, but that's not always the case. We do want to avoid getting the ball too low here, because that ends up being just an obvious trapping kind of scenario there for the defense. They're going to want to trap us here, especially when we get that ball too low. Okay, so we want to avoid that kind of natural trap there down in the bottom there. We also, just as we progress through this, we just want to understand that there's a natural trapping zone here, natural trapping zone here, and generally down at the bottom low here. That's a natural place where teams are going to want to trap us. We want to avoid those areas. Okay, so just kind of after the ball gets inbounds, obviously the ball is going to come in from that first position. We're going to get the ball in, whether we split or whether we screen. The second thing that we want to have happen now, we're going to make this adjustment where now our bigs, if you noticed when I did that movement there, our bigs went down the court. And so what I want to see happen, as soon as that ball is going to come in, let's just take those defenders away. And so that's going to do that, we're going to move our bigs down the court. And so when I see that second move there, my bigs are moving down. That creates a whole bunch of space in this area here that's not defended if we're able to move those players down. Of course, if these defenders don't follow and they stay there, okay, if they stay up in this area here, well, we're going to make that longer pass maybe if we can. But ideally, we're just moving our bigs out of the way so that we can create space for our guards to work. Now, what we want to see happen as soon as that ball is inbounded over here on that first move, okay, on that split move, what we want to see happen is we want to see that the second guard, the other offside guard, face cut if they can to the center. And I've always said if we can get the middle, we win. If we get the middle on a press break, we win. And so then we want to see that pass here, okay, getting that ball to the middle. And then at that point, we should probably have this defender here in a trail position by that stage. And then we have essentially, you end up in kind of a 3-on-2 scenario. So just kind of walking through that from the start to see how that would look. So we have a split scenario. Our guards are set up there, ready to split. Okay, we get the ball in there, and then our third move would be get the ball to the center. Okay, now as we come down the court, what we want to see happen, notice that we have the trail position, so we have a natural kind of 3-on-1 here, a 3-on-1 scenario, 3-on-1, because that second defender here is now out of position. They're in a trail, and so we do have a 3-on-2 for a limited period of time. Now typically what's going to happen is you're going to see one defender step up, and whichever these 2 defenders decides to step up and stop ball, their opposite forward should be open. So if I kind of animate that through, okay, if this defender here, as we can see, stepped up, okay, then the pass was obviously open right here, just over the top there, and we get the easy score. Okay, some things to keep in mind here. When we're kind of in that position, we need to make sure we're running that these 2 forwards stayed wide. Okay, so we're staying wide there. okay, until that 3-on-1 kind of develops, okay, or 3-on-2, sorry, develops, waiting to see which one of these two defenders decides to step forward, whether it's this one or if it's this one here, okay, and then we kind of end up kind of in that scenario, like I said, where we can make that quick decision and quick pass there, and we should be able to get an easy score. The last thing I kind of want to go back to is what happens if we can't get that cross pass here, if we can't get this pass here. What are we going to do if we can't make that pass? Well, if that pass isn't on from here, you can see that they'd be trying to trap, and a lot of times they'll try and trap. So most of the time when they try and trap, though, the reverse is open, as long as the ball's not too low. And so what we want to do is we want to reverse the ball here, and then that guard, which just came from here, now is going to come back and look for the reverse. Okay? And so the way this will end up looking is if we reverse the ball here, okay, this guard's going to swing back, then we want to reverse the ball around, and then now we have this guard cutting to the middle, and then we have the exact same scenario on the other side. Okay, and so we get that past the middle, and then we end up in that kind of 3-on-2 scenario down the court as we move down the court here. So that's what our ideal kind of job is. The adjustment we've made is rather than our bigs trying to win this middle, we're going to put the onus on our 1 and 2, depending whoever doesn't get the ball, to win in the center. If we get the ball to the center there, we win, and we're going to beat that press. Okay? And that's basically it. One other thing that I want to just talk about, if there is no trap here, we have to make sure that we have the ability as our 1 and 2 guards, and that's why we're going to have our best ball handlers there. If they don't trap after this ball comes in, guards have to have the ability to dribble to center on their own if they can ever split this trap here. Before this trap gets set, if there's ever a time where the guard has the ability to dribble center, we're okay with that. The other guard's got to recognize if they're going to make that cut, oh, they're dribbling center, now I need to get wide. Okay? But in general, as soon as that ball comes in to the side, this guard is just cutting to the middle so they can get that ball. Okay? But it's really a two guard kind of give and go kind of scenario that we want to use to break the press. We've created a lot of space to do that. And that's about it. Just our kind of, we'll call it old school. This is what I used to do in high school, press break.